Hi, my name is Phylicia Corlette, and this is my prompt 2 for ECED 6249. The topic for this lesson is reading revisions and reflections. What role does reflection play in your own instructional practice? Within my instructional practice, reflection plays an important role. Reflection, in the words of laymen, simply means thinking about something, but for some, it is a well-defined and crafted practice that carries very specific meaning and associated action. It is the way I am able to reflect and plan accordingly when assessing my practices and how I choose to teach within my classroom environment. Self-reflection is important because you're able to think about what you did, how you did it, and how the students responded to it. Identify a lesson or unit you developed as an undergraduate or in your early careers in graduate school. Provide a brief overview of your goals related to this lesson and how well it will function in guiding your instruction of students. The lesson I chose to reteach was on fact families. I chose this lesson because I feel like I could reteach it and make it more engaging and hands-on for students. Overall, my lesson went well when teaching it the first time, but minor adjustments could be made to make it better. The goal of this lesson was for the students to identify and complete fact families in various forms. Those potential forms could be word problems, fact family houses, or utilizing manipulatives such as number lines, graphs, or counting cubes, etc., to complete their fact families. The standard that I chose for this lesson was explain the concepts of addition, subtraction, and equality, and use those concepts to solve real life problems within 10, and use a variety of strategies to solve addition and subtraction problems within 10. How do you utilize peer experts in becoming a better teacher? In this profession, you utilize your colleagues as resources to help you within your teaching journey. It is a great way to grow professionally. Many teachers have various strengths and areas of expertise that allow collaboration amongst one another to be beneficial, as we can continue to learn from each other. Another experience where peer experts come into play is during PDD days, daily team meetings, and weekly PLC meetings. All of those resources listed are factors into the success of being an effective educator. In what capacity do your prior knowledge and student expertise influence your own growth as a teacher? Thinking about prior knowledge and student influence, the effect it has had on my teaching journey has been a constant foundation. The experiences I went through and the lessons learned as a student teacher within the classroom environment have played a part in shaping me as a teacher. As a teacher connection is a key, aiming to connect with students and get to know them. The more you know, the easier it is to assess and teach within the classroom. How successful were you at addressing all learners in your classroom? When I originally taught this lesson, I was able to reach some of my learners. When teaching, I did notice that same familiar hands continued to get raised, letting me know that some students were uncomfortable or unaware of the lesson being taught. This let me know to keep an eye on them as we were moving along. For the most part, students were engaged, involved in answering questions asked. This particular group enjoys math as a whole, minus a few, so they do well with learning and activities related to this particular subject. What strategies worked and did not work within the lesson in your instructional time? When I originally taught this lesson during instructional time, the strategies that worked best for these students were allowing them to work in smaller groups, engaging in their prior knowledge conversations before the beginning of the lesson, and taking time to set students up for success by giving them the expectation that the lesson being taught was helpful, therefore they knew what to expect. How did your strategies for integrating work within this lesson? What changes would you make to ensure multiple content areas were more successfully? For this lesson, it was primarily a math lesson. The lesson was about fact families. And when reteaching this lesson, again, I made sure to integrate some aspects of science, whether that be graphing, measuring, or counting, and they integrated naturally as they fall under the same area of STEM. What was successful in this lesson and how did it vary from your previous? This lesson was different from the previous lesson. This time around, I feel like I reached more students than in the previous lesson due to the small group setting. The students understood the content more easily than when taught the first time around. The students were engaged and active participants within the lesson when engaging which ensured me that they were learning effectively. This lesson was different from the previous as I allowed the students to work on fact family activities together or independently, whereas previously we did them as whole group instruction. This lesson was different from the previous lesson as the students were able to connect math and science within the lessons when working on activities, as they were able to graph and or color and count when working on their work. This lesson and the previous lessons, student engagement was at an all-time high. Having activities in place that were interactive, engaging, and allowing collaboration was always successful for the students to be effective learners within the classroom environment. For my future classes, I would ensure to remember prior taught lessons and how they were effective and utilize them as resources. With that in mind, remembering that each class is different and student needs vary, but ensuring that the interest and engagement is always present to ensure great teaching is taking place with the benefit being the students. In this lesson, I was sure to remember that cultural diversity and community engagement within my planning. I reflected on teaching and learning and what is most effective. I thought about my teaching and how I could ensure that all students' learning needs were met. And I made sure to plan accordingly in order to support all students I differentiated. All students are at different levels within the class, so providing instruction that caters to that ensures effective learning is taking place, and I feel like I was successful in facilitating this within my teachings, and this will be seen within my student work from my lessons and the videos that I took as well. For me, overall, the learning experience as a whole went very well within the lesson. When planning, I included moments where the students had the opportunity to work independently and or collaborate. I was able to observe and notice small errors, and the students struggled during independent time, and I was able to facilitate and help them through their problems. And I broke the problems down and took it step by step with them, which I feel like helped them tremendously. In the first few that we did together, we modeled the expectations, and I observed providing support when needed, but also allowed the freedom for them to work independently ahead as well. We utilized the manipulatives, number cards in our hands to complete the problems, and navigating having various strategies. This provided an opportunity to meet students where they were. The student engagement was consistent, and the students were positive, eager, and engaged, and it is exciting to see the students' excitement when learning and thoroughly enjoying what they are learning. The students' learning experience with the revised lesson was at an all-time high when working with the students. You never know how they will respond to lessons when you teach them, and I feel like this time around, with it being more hands-on and the activities that took place, allowed for them to be eager in their attention when working with me, when working on this lesson. I gave students 2 different amounts of cubes within 2 different colors, and I asked them to build a tower. From there, they were able to create a number sentence, and this was the opener for the lesson, and it was beneficial to the students for the future assignments within the lesson to be able to showcase their understanding. On this slide is some example of the students' work. Here you can see that they created their fact families using the houses. And in this one, you can see the students working to create those fact families, utilizing manipulatives and some of the materials that I had mentioned as well. Overall, I feel like the courses I've taken throughout this graduate program have shaped and sharpened my awareness of being mindful to the consistent reflection that it needs to take place as an educator, as well as it allows for you to see areas where you can improve. The courses that stick out particularly are the diverse classroom course as well as the modeling mathematics course. Lessons learned within those have helped to shape my mindset when it comes to teaching, and the diverse classroom course showcased how to ensure that you are setting up your space to be beneficial for all students within your classroom. And the math course specifically has helped me to know the importance of modeling, showcasing, and utilizing manipulatives to enhance the learning throughout the lessons.